Welcome to the Explainer. The European Union has just dropped its massive new rulebook for AI. So today we're going to cut right to the chase and look at the most controversial part, the stuff that's now completely banned.
That sounds like a question straight out of a sci-fi movie, right? But believe it or not, the European Union has a very real answer, and they've just written it into law.
For this explainer, we're going to zero in on Article 5 of the Act. This is the section that lays out all the AI systems that pose an unacceptable risk. These are the ones that are totally off limits, no ifs, ands, or buts. So what actually made the blacklist? All right, first up, AI that's designed to manipulate you. The law comes out swinging against any system that's built to mess with our free will and push us into making harmful decisions. So, this ban on manipulation gets broken down into two main types. On one hand, you've got deceptive AI. Think of systems that use subliminal tricks or other shady techniques to get you to do something harmful that you just wouldn't do otherwise. Then, on the other hand, there's exploitative AI, which is way more targeted. This is about AI that actually preys on specific things it knows about you, your age, a disability, maybe your financial situation, to get you to act against your own interests. The key here is that the law is trying to protect us from both broad tricks and very personal, targeted exploitation. Okay, the second major red line is drawn for any AI system that, well, judges you. We're talking about AI that scores you, classifies you, or profiles you in a way that could lead to some seriously unfair treatment down the road. And this quote from the Act, it just perfectly captures the issue. The law is taking a direct shot at the whole idea of social scoring. A system where an AI gives you a score based on how you act or who it thinks you are. So what does that actually look like? Well, imagine an AI giving you a score based on your social media posts or your public behavior. And then that score is used to deny you a loan or a job or even an apartment. This ban is a direct response to those fears about a universal citizen score. It makes it illegal to treat someone badly in a totally unrelated context just because of some arbitrary social score, especially when it's unjustified. It's basically banning a credit score for your entire social life. Now, the law makes a really important distinction here. It's saying you can't have AI that tries to play pre-crime by predicting future criminals based only on their personality traits or some kind of profile. But what it does allow is for AI to be a tool that helps a human make an assessment, as long as that assessment is based on cold, hard, objective facts related to an actual crime. All right, the third category of banned AI gets into how our personal and biological data is scooped up and used, particularly when it's used to put us into different buckets. The law gets super specific here. First, it says you can't use AI to build giant facial recognition databases by just indiscriminately scraping images off the internet or from public cameras. Second, it bans AI that tries to figure out your emotions at work or at school, with very narrow exceptions for medical or safety reasons. And finally, it prohibits using your biometric data, like your face or fingerprint, to categorize you based on sensitive stuff like your race, your political opinions, or your sexual orientation. The goal here is pretty clear: protect our fundamental right to privacy and identity. Okay, now we're getting to one of the most hotly debated parts of the entire AI Act, the whole issue of real-time biometric identification, like live facial recognition in public. Let's be crystal clear about the starting point here. In principle, the police using continuous, live scanning of people's faces in public is banned. That is the default setting for the entire European Union, period. But, and this is a huge but, there is a very narrow exception. The ban can be lifted only when it is strictly necessary for a handful of really severe, really urgent situations. We're talking about searching for a missing child, preventing an imminent terror attack, or identifying a suspect in a very serious crime. And even in those super rare cases, it is not a free-for-all. Law enforcement has to jump through a bunch of hoops, the crime has to be on a specific list of serious offenses, they have to do an assessment of how it'll impact people's rights, and, this is crucial, they have to get a judge to sign off on it before they do anything. And any approval they get is going to be strictly limited in time, location, and who they can target. So after going through all these red lines, what's the big picture? I mean, why did the EU bother creating this massive AI blacklist in the first place? Well, the ultimate goal here is to build trust. The thinking is, by drawing these really clear boundaries around what AI is absolutely not allowed to do, you create a safer space for the good kinds of innovation to flourish. The EU is basically betting that for AI to really succeed, people have to believe it's being developed in a way that's safe, trustworthy, and respects their fundamental rights. So this law, it sets the baseline for what's considered unacceptable today. But the conversation around the ethical lines for AI is just getting started, isn't it? It leaves us with a pretty critical question. Now that we've drawn these lines in the sand, what are the next big AI questions we all need to start talking about?